What's up, critters? Welcome to Table Ready. My name is Noah, and this is the Critical Review, where I critically review and rate and theorize about Campaign 3 of Critical Role. Now, all of my ratings and reviews should be taken with the same amount of seriousness as, well, this 1990s t-shirt. Now, let's get into it because there's a lot going on, and I'm pretty sure that Chetney's story is coming to a head. Before we hop into the review, I wanted to say a thank you to someone that's been in the comments section a lot. I was looking at the last year in review, and I gotta say, you are the MVP. You've commented on pretty much every video, you've been here since the start, and I gotta say thanks for your support. In the future, I'd like to showcase some of your comments, particularly the ones with the best ratings or theories about the campaign. But for now, let's hop into the episode. As we were hopping in, Chet is hopping out of the window of Master Volley's office, Volley giving pursuit and having a fairly keen eye to keep track of where the rain is falling because Chet is invisible. Volley is adept with his eyes and perception, but pretty poor at fighting, getting only one attack and missing Chet. Chet did give him disadvantage, but it doesn't seem as though Volley had a weapon on his side in the first place and was using an ornamental weapon to try to fight off this thief. Just as Volley starts taking swipes at the invisible Chet, Imogen intercepts him, casting Calm Emotions, and then works together with Laudna, Dorian, Chet, and I guess you could say Orem, to spook Volley into leaving, basically making it seem as though this tower is haunted and that Laudna is some creepy ghost beast. Volley, as well as most of the guards, fall hard for this and skitters off. The party reunites just to split up again. Orem, Dorian, and Chet go back to the building to look for any hidden entrances or anything and find nothing. Imogen, Letters, Laudna, and Fern all go on the date with Pretty, the large ogre. And I was kind of hoping that they would just fast forward through this or maybe even skip the date, but what were they going to do? Ghost him too? Like I said before, I was hoping that they would fast forward through this because I was really uninterested and just wanted to get to the meat and potatoes of this thing. But it was funny, so I guess there was some payoff there. Finally, Ashton heads to the Lucid Spire, a place we haven't been yet, and approaches a mansion that is guarded by these large constructs. We find out that Ashton has actually been under the employ of the JH, Gianna Hickson, this entire time. Right when this happened, I got vibes that yo, Ashton is a spy. This is not cool. Ended up not really being the case, as Ashton comes clean to the rest of the party. It turns out that Ashton and some foster kids ended up leaving the foster home in order to become a gang full of nobodies who were thieves. They took a job that went south at JH's home, leaving a giant hole in Ashton's head and a giant amount of debt that needs paid off. This is where the servitude comes from. Ashton's just paying off a debt. Now during this meeting, Ashton spills all of the beans to JH. Everything. The bad thing is that now there are so many connections out there to the party and all their illegal activity going on. The good news is now they have a deeper connection to the bounty holder of Dorian's brother. And they feel as though if they could somehow get in the good graces of JH, maybe that bounty disappears. Chetney believes that Gurge is somewhere in that basement area of Volley's office, so the party heads back to the tower. They combo scare and sneak their way up to the office window, climb in, and then start to go down the stairs, led by Chetney. Down the stairs, Chet finds who he's been looking for this entire time. Gurge being experimented on. By what though? I would say who, but I think Ira is closer to beast than human. In the early descriptions of the character, I thought Shadar Kai, until hearing how tall and long this creature is. 8 foot tall, gray, long elf-like ears and no hair. Ira is working through an experiment with Gurge, trying to, what I would assume is, extract whatever creates the lycanthropy inside of Gurge to transfer to others. The ghoulish creature is getting close to completing its experiment when he turns and notices the party waiting. This is where the episode ends. Let's talk some theories. I'd like to start off by saying I don't think that the Nightmare King has to be from the Feywild. Just because there are nightmarish stories and he has influence there doesn't mean that that's where he's from. He could be some kind of haunting presence from the Shadowfell or the Astral Sea. Who knows? It is obvious, however, whatever the Nightmare King is into, messing with nature, manipulating beasts and man to create abominations, so is Ira. To find out more about the Nightmare King, they should definitely hold on to Ira and not completely him, you know what I'm saying? Another quick theory about this upcoming combat: I doubt that this basement isn't connected to tunnels. The party should surround Ira as soon as possible to stop any chance of escape. My last and biggest theory has to do with Travis and Chet. If we go back to my previous theory that Travis is really waiting for Tal'Dorei Reborn to release or show up with his new character, I think it tracks here. During this episode, Travis was an agent for urgency. He wasn't willing to give up on Volley's office, even though there was no real clues that Gurge would be down there. He also pushed them to go back in the middle of the night, consistently pushing the party to go back to the office, back downstairs, to really just find Gurge as soon as possible. Why do I think that this is important? Both Tal'Dorei Reborn and the animated series are coming out at the end of the month. If Travis were able to get the combat started this episode, next episode they could have the combat, save Gurge, and Chet and Gurge could walk off into the distance peacefully and happily, ending his story arc and then allowing Travis to leave the table again and then come back as his next character. This is great because we're all waiting to see Chetney in a fight, right? Rating time. Now, I actually liked that Matt's giving them the freedom to split up and not causing them to have massive consequences afterwards. The whole don't split the party cliche in Dungeons and Dragons has some good points and some bad points. When you split the party, the story moves slower because you have to bounce between party members in different scenarios. But I think that actually does give more interesting storylines, more flexibility, and it doesn't make sense for a party of 8 characters to go everywhere together. In a show like Critical Role, everyone is fine with sharing the spotlight and moving from scenario to scenario, so I like this. It kind of breaks the stigma around splitting the party. That NordVPN ad? Dorian finally seems to crack Chet's tough exterior by telling him that he's one of them, and Chet cries about it. It's a short moment, but a sweet one. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Our main ogre Pretty rejecting the girls at the end of the date, 8 out of 10. Very funny. I have 2 ratings for Matt. The first is he and Taliesin working together on the JH storyline. They either had everything lined out really well in his backstory or did just an amazing job with improv. The relationship there seemed real and was extremely immersive and gave us more insight into Ashton's character than we've seen so far. So both Matt and Taliesin did a great job here. I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. Then second is Matt's ability to just sit quietly for a very extended period of time and let all of his players carry the story. Everyone there is so good at improv and immersed in what they were doing and their storytelling that Matt just stepped out and let it happen. And to be honest, if he were to interject, it would break that immersion a little bit. So I'm gonna give Matt a 10 out of 10 on that. It's a skill that I need to learn how to do as a DM more. Lastly, you get a 2 out of 10 for injecting straight up nightmare fuel into my veins at 1:30 in the morning before I have to go to bed. You see these dark circles around my eyes? That's on you, Matt. If you want to avoid getting a 2 out of 10 and want to get a 10 out of 10, you can make a mage hand out of the like button. Go down, leave a comment in the comments section. Any theories that you have percolating in that mind, any ratings that you have that I may have missed. I'd really appreciate it. I'm excited to see what happens next Thursday, but until then, I will see you later.